Vivians, I welcome you to the third channel. Welcome to today's video. Today is part of a brand new series. Now I've learned on YouTube that viewers are more likely to stick around for the first few minutes than disappear, so I'm going to do my announcement now. This series is called Euro Tom. We talk all the things Eurovision, but I thought, oh, this is a fantastic idea, but I want to make a way for you to listen to this series on the go, in your pocket, in the car. So, I'm announcing Euro Tom Pocket. Euro Tom Pocket is a podcast that goes in depth into Eurovision. This series we talk ground level, base level Eurovision, but the podcast goes in depth to Eurovision, from Eurovision history to Eurovision now. Not just normal Eurovision, but Junior Eurovision, Eurovision the Choir, Eurovision Young Musician, and Eurovision the Dance, which is a dance version. But this Euro Tom will just be talking about all those, but not as in depth as the podcast will. The podcast could be an hour, it could be 15 minutes. These episodes will be about 10 to 8 minutes, so you haven't got long to talk. So, there you are. If you don't watch anymore, that's fine, but you've heard my announcement now, so prove me wrong, algorithm. Anyway, so as I almost fall off the armrest on my chair, so I can look incredibly dashing. So, Eurovision. Why do I want to make a series and a spin-off podcast about Eurovision? Well, if you don't know me well enough, Rich, you've probably worked out that I've got multi-interests. So, Doctor Who is my favourite, is my main interest. Comedy, I'm gonna say second, but I wouldn't be able to rank, I wouldn't be able to list them. So, Eurovision is another thing I'm into, and it's amazing, Eurovision. Not many people know about Eurovision the Dancer, Eurovision Young Musician, Eurovision the Choir, and Junior Eurovision. Junior Eurovision, we were only in it from 2005, 2006. It used to broadcast on ITV instead of BBC. I don't know why. I would have thought Junior Eurovision would have been a perfect for CBBC, because obviously ITV don't care enough about CITV, because they moved their most popular programmes onto ITVB that no one really watches anymore, or ever did. I don't know, I don't watch it, but I would watch something on CITV rather than ITVB. Anyway, so Eurovision 2022. As of recording, it's currently Saturday the 14th of May. I sadly won't be able to watch it live, because I'm going to watch Alan Partridge live. Which I'll probably do a whole video on the Alan Partridge timeline, because I love Alan Partridge, so I'm going to watch the stratagem. I am so excited for that. So sadly I can't watch Eurovision live, but I can moan on a YouTube video. So, let's moan. So, Eurovision Euro Tom Pocket will go into in-depth with what I like. I'll be like analysing the song and what makes the song good and the evolution of music within Eurovision. I'll be doing all of that on there. This is more talking about my favourite Eurovision songs, how I discovered Eurovision, a bit more like base level. The podcast will be going in depth. The podcast will come out tomorrow, where I talk about what I liked about Eurovision 2022, because I'm hopefully, because Alan Partridge, we don't know whether it's 2 hours or an hour and a half, but we're going to try and watch some of Eurovision. So I probably won't talk about it tomorrow. I'll probably do first episode all about like how I got into Eurovision. Like I'm just going to talk about how I found Junior Eurovision. That's what I'm going to do in the podcast, because this is more, I'm going to talk more about the main show. So this year we had the first semi-finals, second semi-finals. If you live in the UK, it's on BBC 3, but they're all on the iPlayer now. And I feel like certain countries, there's always, every time I watch Eurovision, and you watch the semi-finals and the finals, there's always artists that you really like that never make it through. So semi-finals 1, we had Denmark with Ready with Show. So Ready spelled R-E-D-D-I, and according to the commentators, they said that they chose the word Ready because they had a piece of equipment in their studio called Ready. I do want to know what equipment is called Ready, but that might just be a Danish name for it because they're from Denmark. They line you in with a false sense of security. As in, I'll explain that because I probably misuse that word horrifically, so I do that quite often. Is that when they began, right? This is spoilers if you haven't heard their song, and obviously they're not in the grand final, so don't matter on that front. But they had the piano. They had one singer playing the piano, and then the band comes in. So you thought, is it a solo act? Have they just duped us? But no, it's a band act. Then with the second semi-finals we had Georgia. Sadly never made it through. They had a really good song. And we had Ireland, Brooke. She was... Ireland do their You Decide type thing on the Late Late Show, which I'll do a whole episode of Euroton Pocket about. And I'll also talk about other podcasts and other ways you can interact with Eurovision on that podcast as well. So, there you go. And so she was apparently on The Voice UK, and I've never seen The Voice UK. All I know is that The Voice started on BBC, then moved to ITV. Yeah, the BBC aren't very good at talent shows, it must seem. Apart from Strictly, because that's the only one that's lasted in. All the others get cancelled rather quickly. Which isn't anyone's fault, apart from the BBC. But, because they're trying to compete with Britain's Got Talent and X Factor, and now The Voice, but X Factor's gone as well. Anyway, so, she's apparently famous within it, so I don't know if, because in Britain you can only vote on the second semi-finals, because we're part of the Big Five, so we perform on the grand final, along with Italy, France, and Germany. Yeah, Germany had a really interesting song last year. It was hilarious. They had some woman dressed as a hand, but I'll do a whole weird costumes video in this series. I'll not defer everything to the podcast. So it's interesting in a sense of the when you look at the countries that make it through and you think, yeah, I do this thing where I don't like the songs for a while, and then I do. So in Norway last year, 2021, they had No, I'm a fallen angel, tryna, but I'm not able to. And I just want you to know, I'm a fallen angel. And they had that, and I hated it at the beginning, but then slowly, songs that you hate get stuck in your head. So it goes stuck in my head. Portugal had a really good song. Love is on my side. And so far, I'm not going to sing all of them because I'm not a singer. And now, my music taste starts from 1914 to early 2000, and Eurovision is an exception because Eurovision like bizarre, is it? I think it was Lithuania with "We are the winners of Eurovision. We are the winners of Eurovision. We are. So vote for the winners." Like that type of thing. And then we also had Russia with the selection of old I can't remember the band name, but I think it was like everybody. I think it's like called something Party, and they had grandmas. I don't know the word you use, but elderly people making. It must have been a pizza. I'm not too sure. Or was it cake? I can't remember exactly, but they were making something. So it doesn't class as new music. In a sense, it's a different thing altogether, because theoretically the Radio 2 wouldn't play out. Radio 1, sorry. That's the hip station with the kids, apparently. Radio 1 wouldn't do, they wouldn't produce, they wouldn't air that. We're like now, like 2022 Radio 1, because obviously new music sort of differs, like the 80s Radio 1 had like Rick Astley, Never Gonna Give You Up, Never Gonna Let You. Anyway, so going off track, trying to be funny. Comical. Anyway, comedy. Anyway, so Eurovision is amazing, and I know so much, but yet so little. So we're on this Eurovision journey together. So you're going to hear why I like Eurovision, and this series and the podcast will work simultaneously. We might even cross over. So yeah. So Euro Tom will be talking about Eurovision, and the podcast will be going in depth. So we'll be going analysing it, speaking to other musicians and asking their thoughts on Eurovision hits, and going more in depth and more into it. So there you go. That's been the first episode of Euro Tom. I'm very upset that Denmark, Georgia and Ireland never made it through to the grand final, but we wish Sam Ryder all the best of luck, because he's our UK entry. I've only heard a little bit of Spaceman, which is a song, and now I'm not into new music, so it's not for me to say it's an amazing song, because I wouldn't think that. But from the what Eurovision are promoting about it, they are saying that we might win. We might take the crown home again. After last year's nil points, which is no points, after our disaster of no points, we might be back winning. We might win. We might win. I would have thought if Ireland had got through, we wouldn't have won at that point, because Ireland would have won, or Denmark or Georgia, because they had the best songs. There was some... I have points of view, and I get really angry at those points, because I really did wish Denmark had got through, because they had a fantastic... It's like last year Ireland should have got through, last year as well, because they had a really good song. But if you think about it, at the end of the day, it's a singing competition. Her goal was just to get through to the final, and sadly she did a fantastic performance. Australia didn't make it through last year, so I mean it's fair letting them through, because the song wasn't that bad in my opinion. In the end, it grows on you over time. The staging's quite nice though, with having stairs, and apparently he trained with like army grade sandbags. So there you have it. That is the first episode of Euro Tom. First episode of Euro Tom Pocket will be out tomorrow on the same channel, because I'm not creating a 10th channel just to host a podcast. That's what this channel's for. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all next time. There won't be any fancy editing to this over the top or anything, because I haven't breached and worked out where the copyright comes from. And when I have got connection to a YouTube channel called Lego Eurovision, because I'm working on a Johnny Logan documentary, so I might ask them if I can use some of their cuts from this year's to enhance the videos and make them better, because obviously he's been granted access by the EBU, European Broadcast Union, the people that run Eurovision, so I can probably get away with copyright by using his little Lego bits, but I'll have to ask first. So thank you guys for watching. Time on, time out. Bye. Well done to everyone that's participated in Eurovision so far this year. Good luck, Sam. We might win. We might. I generally believe we might win. Woo! Disco time. Da 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 da. We might win. Woohoo!